Hey, welcome everybody. This is oil painting frequently asked questions, and I just want to make a quick video and answer some questions that I'm asked often when I'm doing my paintings and posting my paintings. So I hope everybody's having a happy Thursday today. And all right, let's see what questions I have here. And if you have any, if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section. All right, so what is the fat over lean rule in oil painting? The fat over lean oil rule refers to when you have, when you paint an oil painting, there are layers of paint. You paint one layer on top of another. Usually, unless a painting is alla prima, which is in one layer, you paint in multiple layers, which is more of like a classical technique in oil painting. So the first layer would be lean, and then you progress into more fat layers as you put more layers of paint on the canvas. So what I do is when I paint a picture, I put my first layer is, well, I first do the drawing, and then I put a wash layer on. And then I do an underpainting, and then an overpainting, and then glazing and scumbling. So the first layer would be a wash layer, and the wash layer would be the thinnest paint. So you're using fat over lean. So the first layer would be thin paint, which would be something that would be, you do something like paint thinner, or the different brands based on the different companies have different brands of paint thinner that you could use that are better quality than just regular paint thinner, but I just use just regular paint thinner. And that would be the leanest layer of paint. So it would be just like a little bit of paint and almost all lean paint, which would be paint that are thinned down. So that would be my first layer. Then the next layer would be the underpainting. And in the underpainting, I'd use a little less lean medium, such as paint thinner, and a little bit more of a fat medium, such as an alkyd medium or something like walnut oil. So that would be a little less lean, a little bit more of a fat layer. But then as I go higher in layers, the top layer would be almost all fat medium and almost no lean medium. Fat medium being an alkyd medium or walnut oil. So that would be fat over lean. So the reason why you do that is because if you put fat layers on top of lean, that's okay because the fat layer is not going to disintegrate the lean layers underneath. But if you put lean paint over fat, it's not going to work because it's just not going to adhere to it. If you put something like, well, say you put paint on the canvas that has like all walnut oil and alkyd medium, and that's dry on the canvas, and then you put another layer of lean medium on top of it, it's not going to adhere to it. It's not even going to show up onto it. So that's what the fat over lean rule is in oil painting. So next question is, can you paint acrylics over oil paint? And the answer to that is no, you cannot paint acrylics over oil paint. Acrylics will not adhere to oil paint. You can paint oil paint over acrylics after the acrylics are dry, but you can't paint acrylics over, you can paint oil over acrylics, but you can't paint acrylics over oil. And even painting oil over acrylics is a little bit controversial because there's this idea that in a period of time it's going to sort of crack and it's not going to peel, or something might happen to the oil layer over the acrylics. But that's never happened to me, and I've been painting for 30 years. So, but that is sort of a controversial subject. Okay, so next question: when you make your initial drawing, do you draw freehand or do you use a projector? Usually, if it's a commission painting, I use a projector because I want that drawing to be as succinct as possible and as perfect as possible. Because when people come to me and customers and clients come to me with pictures they want to have painted, they want it, most of the time they want it as accurate as possible. They don't want it to be they want it as accurate as possible, really. Try to get the colors as accurate as possible, try to get the tones as accurate as possible. But the first and most important thing with a commission is to get the drawing as accurate as possible. But that's for a commission. Now, if I'm doing just a painting that I'm kind of having fun with and it's a little bit more, not abstract, but impressionistic, or if it's an animal I'm painting, or something that I'm focusing more on colors and vibrancy and just trying to make it more of a powerful picture. It doesn't have to be as detailed. Then I do more drawing by freehand, because it's not as important to make the drawing just as perfect as possible in that case. But like I said, in a commission, I use a projector and I make the drawing as perfect as I possibly can before I even start to try to put paint on the canvas. So next question would be, how many layers of paint do you put on a painting? All right, so this gets back to the fat over lean rule. It's going to be, let me think now. It's going to be the wash layer, the underpainting, the overpainting, the glazing, and the scumbling. So that's about 5 layers on average that I put on a painting. Sometimes I put more. Sometimes I don't use glazing and scumbling, but it's going to be minimum 3, but sometimes it's going to be like maybe 5 and up to even 7 layers on a painting. Okay, so I have another question. What is the difference? What is glazing and scumbling, and what is the difference? Glazing and scumbling is like it's what you do at the very end of the painting. It's the reason why you use it is to either to make colors darker or lighter, or to alter a color. And you would use like glazing. What you do with glazing is you take a little bit of paint and use a lot of medium and put it on an area that's already dry, and kind of you want to bring out the vibrancy of a color, or you can use it to bring out the vibrancy of your color, or you can darken a color. You can use it as a shadow. And that's called a shadow glaze. So these layers, they kind of, every time you put these layers on, it just makes the paint look a little bit better. You can keep adjusting every time you use it to make to bring out certain areas and darken certain areas, and you can really do a lot with glazing. I like to use it a lot, especially with portraits. So scumbling is a little bit different. Scumbling is you don't use, the way I do it is you don't use any medium in the paint at all. You just use straight dry paint right out of the tube, and it's usually used in a highlight area. I don't scumble in a shadow area, because the highlights are usually areas that use more paint, and then or you have more texture in the highlighted areas, and in the shadow areas you have no texture at all. So when you apply a scumble, you can make a highlight come out stronger and give an area a little bit of punch. And that's like, usually it's like the very last thing you do in a painting, just to give an area just a tiny little bit of punch and highlight, and just to make an area stand out. But you don't use it a lot. You just use it just a little bit, just in certain areas, just like maybe a little bit of a highlight on the tip of a nose or the side of a nose, or wherever you see the brightest highlights be, that's where usually or normally you use scumbling. Okay, so that's all the questions I have today. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section, and what I'll do is when I get about 5 or 10 questions lined up, then I'll make another video and answer all of those questions. And if you have, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you got anything out of this video. And thanks for watching. Happy Thursday.